There we go for real this time. Well, as far as I know, we've got the live stream back where I had wanted it, which is on my personal Facebook page and not the church page. So that's working. But it also should be on the church YouTube, Twitter, X, and the church app. So I think we're finally back to normal. Yeah, I went live without me a couple minutes ago, and the problem there was it for the church app, you have to start it after the starting time. And so I was ready early and I was waiting, but then it went live without me or whatever. So now I'm really here. Otherwise, I was just trying to pass 2 minutes until it was officially time to start. All right, we're in Proverbs chapter 13, right? Yeah, we've made it all the way to 13. All right. Wealth and words. A wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. So I don't have this color-coded in the parenting section that I typically color-code, but it's kind of twofold. I mean, it is a parenting thing, a son heeding his father, but it's also just more of that general wisdom that a wise son heeds the instruction, but a scoffer doesn't listen to rebuke. They kind of blow it all off, like, oh, whatever that guy says, it's no big deal. A man shall eat well by the fruit of his mouth, but the soul of the unfaithful feeds on violence. He who guards his mouth preserves his life, but he who opens wide his lips shall have destruction. So again, we have these Proverbs, and as we keep moving through, there's going to be a lot of repetition in the Proverbs. But the general idea of just watching our mouth, watching what we say, behold the tongue, right, that James speaks about. The importance of just watching our mouth and watching what we say. The soul of a lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. Notice again, it's the soul. But again, the lazy man, he desires and he has nothing. All these things they want, but not willing to put in the time and put in the work and start at the bottom, work your way up. And so just those general exhortations to hard work. A righteous man hates lying, but a wicked man is loathsome and comes to shame. Righteousness guards him whose way is blameless, but wickedness overthrows the sinner. And so here in verse 5, it talks about the righteous man hating lying. We read in the Psalms, David talk about hating sin, not knowing evil. And that's something too. It's that general heart and attitude of not just trying not to sin and trying to be good, but really get in that place where we hate it. We don't like sin. It's not that we just avoid it. We don't like it. And you know what? It's much easier to not do the things you hate than it is the things you love but you know are wrong, and so you just try really hard not to do them. And that's a hard issue. That's something we have to pray about and seek the Lord. Like, Lord, make me hate adultery, lust, fornication. Make me hate gossip. God, make me hate complaining. Make me hate these things that I might be tempted with, but I know they're not of you. Let me hate greed, hate pride. And so the righteous man, he hates lying. So that's one thing on the giant list of things. There is one who makes himself rich, yet has nothing, and one who makes himself poor, yet has great riches, which leads you to the question, what are riches? He's rich, yet has nothing. And there's poor with great riches. Now, again, I think this is some of those lessons where what really is riches and what really matters is the focus. The ransom of a man's life is his riches, but the poor does not hear rebuke. Something versus nothing to lose. part of this here is the idea that when the man has something to lose, there's something for them to be fighting for and to be working for. But when you have nothing to lose, that people really don't, they stop caring. The light of righteousness rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. Pretty straightforward. By pride comes nothing but strife, but with the well-advised is wisdom. So by pride comes nothing but strife. And I have a little note in my Bible that says, flip it. And so by pride comes nothing but strife. And so if you are noticing strife, then you need to start figuring out where the pride is. And that's almost always a given. Let me be able to stop here. Short but sweet. If there's strife, there's likely some sort of pride, arrogance. There's some sort of elevating of oneself higher than it should be elevated. Because if there's this back and forth thing, obviously somewhere along the line, you stopped believing that you're receiving better than you deserve. Humility is really not thinking about yourself. It's not thinking you're stupid, dumb, poor, and ugly. That's not humility. It's not playing down your gifts. That's not humility. But not really worrying about yourself or caring about yourself. When you are generally concerned with others, that's the opposite of pride. Pride is a great concern about yourself. Not just elevating and thinking good thoughts about yourself, but just thinking about yourself in general. And humility isn't thinking poor thoughts about yourself. No. I'm really not that good. That's false humility. Humility is just not thinking about yourself, not being worried about yourself, not being concerned about yourself. When your primary concern is the glory of God, when your primary concern is righteousness, not how righteous can I be, but just righteousness, the general principle of God's righteousness on earth. When I'm focused on Him, and then I'm focused on other people, i.e., I'm going to manifest God's righteousness by obeying His commands and loving other people, and really obeying the first two commandments to love God and love others. When that is my focus, and you have no time left to focus on yourself, you're going to watch strife erase. Because pride comes nothing but strife, and strife, it typically comes through pride, right? Sinful pride. And so the emphasis for us, right, it should be that great focus on God and on others, to where we're not worried about ourselves, not thinking about ourselves, not concerned about ourselves, not concerned what others think about us, in the sense of I want to be blameless and upright, and have a good testimony, but it's not worried about what people think about me, so I'm going to have to do all this stuff because I'm worried about me. Getting our eyes off of us and our eyes onto the Lord, it solves all those problems. So I think it's a great thing. When you see strife, when you see headbutting, let's just pretend that happens in marriages, right? If there's headbutting, well, it's because pride is involved. Somewhere along the line, the husband thought of himself to be more than a Christ-like servant to his wife. Somewhere along the line, the wife thought she was more than a submissive and humble church-like person, toward Christ. It's one of those things that both of our callings are very humbling callings. And so if we're thinking about ourselves and how much better we deserve and how much more right we are, strife. But if we're thinking about the glory of God and what He's called us to, and uplifting our brothers and sisters the way He's called us to, strife should disappear. All right. We knocked out 10 verses with a late start. Tomorrow, I should be back here. I think things are fixed. We'll be starting on time and in the right places and all of that. So, hey, hopefully that all works. All right. You guys have a great morning, and hopefully then tomorrow